Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. I get to meet great podcasters from around the world, talk about their podcast journey, have a great conversation around our different approaches to podcasting. And Deb has a great show for you. You got to go check it out. And we'll have all the links as well, as always, in the notes, because you know how we do things. The Drop-In CEO is here, everybody. Dropping in with us. We're going to be chatting about all things podcasting as well. Deb, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here as my guest co-host today.
Okay, Dave. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. And yes, I do look forward to having a conversation back and forth because, hey, I'd love to learn more about what you do in podcasting as well.
I like it. Okay, let's start with your show. Tell everybody about your show, what it's about, who is it for. Give us the background on your podcast.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So the Drop-In CEO podcast was actually an accident. It came out of my mouth while I was chasing ghosts. And I was on a podcast once. They asked me, what is it that you do, Deb? And I kind of said, well, I'm like the Drop-In CEO. I will drop into manufacturing businesses. I'll help the C-suite leader, CEO, with their business area. I'm in quality and operational excellence. And yes, we'll fix those issues and transform their business. But along the way, I also help the people with a lasting impact. I'll help them with their leadership skills and what have you. And when you don't need me anymore, you pull me out. And that was kind of the origin story for it. But then I realized that was my brand and I could be of value to not only C-suite leaders of today, but also tomorrow to help them understand what it's like to gain that confidence, to be able to have a more influential voice at the table. But I do interview CEOs, presidents, founders of companies, because I'm using it to build strategic relationships and in the process providing value to my audience. So again, I love it. I do solos, I do guest interviews. It's a beautifully creative medium and I'm just so happy to share more with you.
It's amazing. How long have you had the show then?
Oh my goodness, 5.5 years, and it'll be the last thing I do if I ever close the business. I absolutely love it, but it's been a journey. Have so loved. How about yourself? How many years have you been doing it?
About the same time frame as well. Yeah, close to the same time. So we're kind of on the same journey. I like that. It's great.
Yeah, and it's just such a creative outlet for me. I mean, again, I have a business. I am always trying to create value, connect with people, but I have discovered so much about myself in the process. It is such a creative medium. I can be myself because it's my platform, or when I show up, you allow me to totally be myself. Whereas sometimes in business, we put a little bit of a mask on. We're a little bit rigid. It's a creative place that I absolutely love.
So one of the things I hear from new podcasters is they want to start well. They want a new podcast to go out well. They want their best of the best. And sometimes they get stuck in trying to make it perfect for the first few episodes. When you look back at your first 10 episodes, what have you learned about yourself, Deb, over all these years?
Oh, God, I can't wait to throw this one back at you as well. But for me, it was the confidence to know that I have something worth saying. The confidence to know that I'm a deep listener and I can pull the best nuggets out of other people. And I also realized that perfection is not what people are listening for. I will flub my words. I might not be able to find a word, but at the end of the day, people are just trying to get a message or a feeling or some insight. And if we flub a word here and there, we can recover because, again, people want to connect with real people, not perfectionists. So I've become much more comfortable in my skin and just ride it out with me. Again, it's not supposed to be a perfect medium. It's one that we create, connection with people. So how about you? What have you learned about yourself over the 5 or so years?
I have 9 different podcasts that I host.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
I talk a lot. So one of them is called Living the Next Chapter. It's an author podcast. I might talk to 4 or 5 people in one day, sometimes up to 10. I've actually done in one day. But I didn't realize how emotionally draining it would be because I'll have somebody come on and talk about something really traumatic that happened in their life, and then they wrote a book about it. And we get into some really deep conversations. And then the next guest comes on and they wrote a business book. And it's a little lighter topic, but I'll go upstairs when I'm done recording after a few back-to-back, and my wife looks at me, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, well, A, I just had an amazing conversation with some really great people, but B, I'm just done. Like, just that interaction and that, even though it's virtual, and I want to get to something that we talked about you're going to be working on in the future, but more in person, but this virtual thing, even though we're like on the other side of the computer of each other, there's still an emotional connection with your guest that really, after a while, it can actually be pretty heavy at times with some of the content that I cover. And it's really hard to kind of get myself back to kind of get out of that spot. I don't know if you've ever had a moment like that with your guests.
Well, yes, shivers, chills.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
my, to the point like when we're done recording, I'm saying, I'd love to talk to you some more.
Yeah,
Because if we truly let ourselves open up, like these conversations can like reach your soul, like unpack something from maybe your distant past or help you to realize something that's the first time you're hearing it. It's like, oh my God. So you can get very inspired by these conversations of listening to other people. And so you kind of get into this trance and this flow. But to your point, because you and I invest so much energy either into the questioning or into the listening and truly hearing what that other person is, it is absolutely draining. And to add on, I am also standing up. So I have my best energy. And yeah, we talked about this before we jumped on here. I too take a break in between so I can come back and ask those great questions so I can be inspired and in the process our audience is inspired. So yeah, it's hard work just talking and listening
right.
and putting forth
Yeah.
that energy. Yeah.
And for those listening to this, Deb is actually doing that today with me. We're going to record this episode right now, and then we're taking a break, and we're coming back, and she's coming back on Living the Next Chapter to talk about her book as well. So, yeah, I get it. That's I didn't understand fully when I first started podcasting how deeply I could connect with a guest virtually and still have a great conversation. And I think I've only met one or two of my guests over the years in real life. And even then, you still have great connections, great conversations. And I've met some of the most amazing people through podcasting.
Yeah.
And it's been so rewarding.
But remind me again, because I know we've chit-chatted before. What was your inspiration for getting into it? And mind you, 9. You've
Nine,
got
yeah.
me hands down.
Originally, I was doing editing for people. I have been in music for 45 years. So I
Yeah.
was doing music editing and recording. And then that turned into podcast editing and recording,
Okay.
into, hey, well, why don't I just start a show? And that one show became 9 over a period of time. And I'm all in. I've had the best relationship building experiences through podcasting. I get to talk to you. Like, it's amazing that you get to do this kind of stuff.
How do you find the energy and time to do 9?
Coffee's very helpful. I also work full time as well. So I have a job as well. So
Yeah.
I do this on my days off. So for me, the energy comes from my guests, really, truly. Like, I'm up for my guests. I'm ready for this
Yeah.
because I want to serve you well on my show. I want you to have a great experience, and I want people to fall in love with you. That's my goal for every episode. Because
Yeah.
I want people to walk away going, great interview, Dave, but wow, Deb is amazing. Like, that's what I want. That's the response I want.
Well, I hope to deliver, and
There you
God
go.
bless being able to put forth all that energy. I've often thought of spinning off or doing others because there was a time there where I was constantly getting pitched to be on the show, and I kept thinking, could I have a spin off? Could I have guest hosts? Could I help other people? So, I mean, the possibilities of what we can do for podcasting are infinite. And you know what? You've spawned an idea in me. I also work. I have a client and I
Yeah.
also have a job as well, and I do my podcasting. But what could I really do if I could podcast full time? I could reach so many more people, and who knows what the spin-offs and impact that could be. So I'm on a journey just like you are to see how many people we can connect with and create just amazing value.
Any stories from you about something that's been the result of having a podcast that you might not have had otherwise? Any because of my podcast type story for you come to mind?
Well, for me, it's never, everybody thinks, oh, viral moment, I've got hundreds of thousands of downloads and I've been, pursued to be on TV. We would all love those moments. But I think for me, it's been a validation that one, when I speak as a solo, I have stuff worthy of saying. When my audience meets me or I get to know them, it's just a wow, again, virtually or not, like, oh, I've been listening, or this has been the impact on me, or I've been listening to you for fun. And the cool thing is when I get introduced to somebody, somebody that maybe I can serve, they check out the podcast. So by the time they show up in front of me, I've already got a bit of trust and credibility built up. So when it comes to building that relationship and potentially a business transaction, all this content that I've been creating has been putting an investment in the
Right.
bank, and it makes that next relationship and that next relationship easier. So that's really what I've been able to reach many despite speaking to one person, one at a time. That's all about who I am. Is I just want to reach more people to be able to share my insights or that's of other people. So that's kind of like what I've discovered about myself. It's never been a viral moment. I have not become instantaneously famous. I'm not a number one hit, but I'm also, because of the consistency for so many years and because I love it, listen notes, I've got a very fine score of like a 41 and a top 1.5%. That speaks
Nice.
to the quality and the consistency. So not viral moments, but a lot of validation that I'm doing the right stuff for me and others.
Any feedback from your audience that caught you and just like, oh, I'm going to keep that email. I'm going to keep that message.
Audience feedback is really interesting. And, sometimes you get on a roll and you forget who the audience is. And
Right.
for a while there, all I was doing was having guests on my show because I just wanted to build more relationships, and who knows, that could be business later on. And then I had one person in my network say, Deb, but I miss your solos. I
Mm.
miss just listening to you and your
Mm-hmm.
voice, for which I've been told my voice is not so bad. It's
It's
easy to listen to.
great. It's
Thank
great.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. So what I learned was I got to balance it. So what I'm now in a season of doing solos, and for some very special people, yes, I will bring a guest on every once in a while. So that was some feedback from one of my audience members, like, Deb, it's a great thing that you're shining a light on other people, but we want you to shine a light on yourself. And
Right.
that was very favorable. I mean, what about you? What kind of feedback have you gotten from your audience?
One of the things I put into place early on in my podcast was a link through SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com, and people can leave a voice message over the internet. It comes to you in an email,
Yeah.
and it's free for them to use. And it's great because then I can actually hear the voice of my audience, and I can include them in the show. So I can actually download the clip and throw it into the podcast. If it's a question and answer situation, it's their answer to my question. I can put it right in and build them into the show. So that's really fun. And I've heard people from around the world responding to my podcast, which is amazing. So that's really fun. That's speakpipe.com. But the other one was I had an email come in to me from a listener of this show. And the email basically said, "Hi, Dave. I listen to your show. I will never be a podcaster. And I don't listen to your show because of your content." And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I put a lot of effort into this show. I get great people like Deb on my show, and we do all this. I do solo, everything, and interviews and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting comment. I don't listen to your show for the content. But the email went on and said, I listen to the show because of you. And you could talk about anything, and I would listen to this podcast. And I'm like, and it's the one thing I didn't realize early in my journey as a podcaster was the companionship that we create with our listeners over time, where again, you might bring a guest on and it might not be the guest that a listener would particularly be interested in, but they show up because of Deb. They show up because of that voice and that consistently showing up on my phone every week, that routine that we kind of worm our way into somebody's calendar, into their life. And even though they might not resonate with what we talk about on the show, they resonate with us. And I'm like, if there's any day where I don't feel like podcasting, I have this email folder in my email client, and I just call it happy folder. Anything that made me happy in the moment goes in that folder. I pull up that email from that listener that said, I don't listen to your show for the content. I listen because of you. And I hit record because I know that they're listening and they're waiting for me. to release the next episode, right? So talk about a reset button if you ever need one. Keep track of those messages that come into you. Don't let them slide away and get buried in an email somewhere. Put them somewhere where you can go to when you need that moment and hit that reset button. There's people out there who love what you do. And the one thing I hear, which is a sad fact, is only a small percentage of our audience will ever take the initiative to reach out, to donate to the show financially, leave you a voice message, do a review, any of those things. Only a small portion of your audience will ever do that. And the majority of them won't. They're the silent majority that just keep showing up. But when they reach out to you, oh my gosh. Connect, right?
Oh yeah, I love what you say about that, and two things come to mind, and it is a beautiful thing when finally our audience does reach out. But I will tell you, like my mother, we don't talk all the time, but she loves my voice, and so she just loves hearing my voice. And if she can't get me live, she'll listen to one of my podcasts, and she may or may not be interested in, but she enjoys the voice. It's soothing and grounding for her. But you also bring up an important point about like those little wins. You know, if you're still in a hustle mindset, like, okay, what's the next big thing? You know, I'm going to start a new podcast or I'm going to write another book. We sometimes forget about those little things. And I used to have a folder, but that didn't work because I'd never open up the folder. But I had this very, very large set of Post-it notes on my wall, and it is my win board. And I am now starting to capture compliments. Or what if I got a coaching gig or somebody invited me to speak, or I got pitched, you know, to be on the show. I capture this, and so I can look off to the side and look at it all the time. It's like, oh my God, I need to get a step ladder now to put more Post-it notes on the wall here. We need to remind ourselves of all these little wins and not forget it, because I wouldn't always be in the present. And we need to celebrate the present because the tomorrow might not happen.
Right. Yeah. And celebrate, like milestones. You reach episode 100, for example. You don't let it just slide by and episode 101 comes up. You just that's huge. Like, not everyone gets to those types of milestones. Again, getting a review, getting a comment, getting any of those things. We need to be intentional to capture those moments somehow, right?
Yeah, I'd like to throw something back at you because, again, this is an opportunity for us to get to know each other about podcasting. But of all these podcasts that you've done, I mean, was there ever one or some event that, like, all of a sudden, like, ooh, I'm relevant. Ooh, I got this kind of rating. Ooh, I'm getting this many downloads. What was it for you that it was like, all right, I nailed this. I'm really good at this. Like, I'm just curious about that for you.
I guess when people you admire say yes to connecting with you.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, we met through Podmatch.
Yeah.
So Alex Sanfilippo, the creator of Podmatch, I created my show and I joined up with Podmatch. I reached out to him. I'm like, well, I'll take a shot in the dark. Maybe he'll say yes. And he did. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now he's on my screen, somebody I admire. Every time he's on someone else's show, I watch and listen. And here he's making time for me. And then that led to actually leading one of the Podcasting Made Simple events. I was with one of the speakers at one of his events recently. And I just had a great time with him and his team. And like that for me was like, I'm on the right path. If I can get into his world and have some time with Alex, he's a very accommodating person, but for me, that was somebody I really, truly admired because of how he shows up and what he does for podcasters. And the fact that he said yes to me was like, okay, I'm working my way towards my goal. I am. I'm not there yet. Like, I'd love to see more and more and more, but that was a great kind of seal of approval for me.
Yeah, it resonates with me too. I have some pretty wow authors on my show, people that I read their books, I listened to their podcasts, and you know, we need to have the courage to ask, because if we don't, we'll never know. And when you have those moments of saying yes, it's validating that they care about your platform, to have a conversation, and it also lifts you up a little bit. You don't feel like, oh, I'm just trying to grovel here. No, we are getting some amazing people to connect with. So amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I'm curious for you, because this is How To Podcast, is the name of the show. So I would like to hear a little bit of your how-to when you prepare for interviews. what is kind of what is your process with your guests? Are you doing pre-interviews with your guests? Are you meeting them for the first time when you record? Whatever your practice is, I'd like to kind of unpack that a little bit.
So I've evolved, and I think in podcasting, we're always discovering what does and doesn't work. And I think way in the beginning, when I didn't have confidence or enough confidence in my process, I would always meet with people in advance. And it would help me get a bit of information on them, and we would choose the angle, which direction we would want to go. So that preparation is really good. But I will find with time, I've gotten quite comfortable in myself that I can do enough independent research about the individual and be honestly curious to learn more about them. I will always prep a few questions. I do have kind of a standard flow. But what I've learned is also to be completely in flow and let the conversation go ever it may. I have enough confidence that I could reel it in if it goes off the rails and still provide some kind of value. But I don't do pre interviews anymore. And that actually has served me well. I think in all of my podcasting, I did one interview and it went south as much as I tried to reel it back in because they were constantly selling or they were going through like a mental PowerPoint on. And I said, okay, that's great. But tell me a little bit more about a difficult situation you had, blah, blah, blah. And they would immediately go back to their talking points. And we
Right.
finished up the interview. But out of 545 podcast interviews that I have done, only
Wow.
one I did not release because it was so not aligned with my values. And I want guests that are not just a talking head, but are interested in creating a conversation. So to your point, I've got a process. I have an expected outcome. What kind of experience do I want to create? I shine a light on their gifts. I give them an opportunity, but I don't do pre-interviews anymore because I trust me and I trust the introductions that I get to amazing people.
Yeah, that's been my struggle. I have been doing pre-interviews for the most part for almost 2,000 episodes now. So when you add that up in your calendar, that's two
It's a lot.
hits to your calendar for you and your guest. And my calendar just gets packed, just jam packed. And I've been trying to work my way out of pre-interviews. I know I can do it, but I don't know if my guest can do it for some of my guests. First time guests, they've never been on a show before. Is this radio? What is this like? And that the one thing I'm struggling with, truly transparently, is the connection with the person when I don't do a pre-interview,
Yeah.
right? I feel like I'm meeting a stranger. They don't know anything about me, and they, for the most part, have done
Yeah.
zero homework on me. So
Yeah.
I have to not only convince them that I know what about them, that I also then have to introduce myself to them as well, and then hit record. And so far it's been fine, like it's been okay,
Yeah.
but as much as I want to drop pre-chats, pre-interviews, I find the connection is different, and I don't know how to fix that. So I'm leaning on you for this
I
one. I need,
I've
need
got
some
some
help.
thoughts.
Okay,
So I've
good.
got some thoughts on this. You're right. You do need to establish connection. So absolutely, I agree with you 100%. What I will do is if they are people that I've not met before, usually they're a warm referral. I've already gotten some input. They're good. They were on my show. I usually get a little bit of a nugget, which kind of sets the stage for me. But I typically will record an interview for 30 to 35 minutes. I book an hour with my guest, but I actually do use the first 10 minutes. And I say, just tell me a little bit about you, or hey, what would be a successful interview? Or hey, let's talk about the people that introduced us. I share a little bit about my audience and what would be a wow. We actually do build up a little bit of rapport. So actually, those first 10 minutes get snipped off my audio podcast. And
Yeah.
when I put it out on YouTube, yeah, we snip it out as well. But to your point, I agree. We need to establish some kind of rapport and relationship before you hit the record button. So I think what I've done is I've shortened the process and tacked
Okay.
it on to that first encounter.
That makes sense. Okay, now you're doing something new
Yes.
coming up for your show. So this is going to be interesting, right? A totally different approach than you've traditionally been doing for your show. Can you
Yeah.
explain what's coming up and maybe your approach and how it's different, maybe?
Yeah, so here's the thing. So I have been fortunate, you and I have been fortunate through technology, Zoom or whatever application, we can connect with people anytime, anywhere, and it is beautiful. It really is beautiful. But there has been something nagging at me for the longest time because I will watch on social media, on YouTube, people in a studio, two people across the table from each other having a conversation or in a chair side by side and under beautiful lighting. And I'm saying, I want to do that. You know, like a TV or radio show. Gosh, I didn't even share this with you. My grandmother used to have her own TV show at a
What?
university radio studio. I got the picture on my whiteboard over there. But I didn't do this because of that. But I said to myself, again, connecting with humanity, we're doing this two-dimensionally. You and I got great
Yeah.
lighting, great video, so it's as close as we can get. But there's nothing like being with that person in that room. And I, on several occasions, have done live panel moderating, and it's a completely different experience being able to really look them in the eye, watch their body language, but have that closer connection. And guess what? In my local town in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Cincinnati Podcast Studio opened up, and I went to their studio, and the lighting is beautiful. The video quality is amazing, and I got two editors there. I am actually going to take this Drop In CEO podcast. We're going to take it for a test drive the end of October and just see what that experience is like. I'm bringing in a trusted colleague that I've already had on my show twice because we he can gab, I can gab, and let's just see what this is like. Now, I'm still going to take that episode. They're going to give me the audio and video. I'm still going to send it to my podcast production company, so it will be an actual interview. I'm going to put it out on YouTube, but the YouTube experience, again, we didn't talk too much about that. You got the
Mm,
audio form, but I also connect with my people on video.
right.
And I just think that seeing me with somebody live and seeing that energy to the next level with amazing video quality is another way we can connect. And so I'm
Mhm.
very excited to try that out. Again, it costs with a little bit of a fee, but we as entrepreneurs or creatives have to try things out to see what sticks. And I just got a feeling this is the next level podcasting for me. So more to come.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Well, yeah, that's a totally different experience for you and for the guest, right? So there's a little bit more thought put into an in-person interview than maybe a virtual. You and I could pause right now, do an edit. No one would ever know. There's a little bit more to think about, but I think
It
that's a
is.
totally different dynamic. I'm
It is.
interested when you compare the two, a virtual and then an in-person, and see
I
what you
can't
like and
wait.
what's different, right? That'd be
Yeah, I
interesting
mean,
to compare.
there's things like I got to get over myself. Like, oh, is the hair and makeup good? Because and does the lighting look good or all that stuff? But actually, like I said, I went down there. I said it's fine, it's fine. And plus, the other thing you talk about building connection, the people under in there absolutely understand podcasting, and
Mhm.
it is how we as business owners or in our craft build that connection. And so that's why they've been very kind, even giving me a discount to take it for a test drive. But I
Nice.
just got this feeling it's going to help elevate me, my voice, my guests to the next level. So I can't wait to share more with you. That's just something I've been doing. I'm not sure if you, what about yourself? Have you been trying out anything different just to see what may resonate with your podcasting?
For me, I have never done in person with my guests. I think that would be really interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me, I don't have a setup personally for me to do, and where I live, I don't have something like you have in Cincinnati. So I'm jealous, super jealous. So we'll have to put a link for that for anybody living in Cincinnati listening to the show to go check it out as well. They got to go check it out. But yeah, that would be a great resource to have. I'm just not at that point where I live to have access to that. So yeah, I think that would be something I'd be really curious. I'm going to be watching with
Hmm.
great curiosity to see what you do with all this. So this is fun.
I can't wait as well.
It's
A new
great.
adventure in podcasting.
So you're coming back to do Living the Next Chapter, and I'm super thrilled to have you back for that show as well. We're going to be talking about your book. But for the listeners here on How to Podcast, can you give us just a quick summary of what the book is about? And we're going to talk about it there on Living the Next Chapter.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So, yeah, back in 2021, I wrote a book called The CEO's Compass, Your Guide to Get Back on Track. And being a person in business and climbing the corporate ladder, I too hit places where I felt off track. And so, this is a culmination of all the stories and my insights to be able to share with leaders to say, you're not broken, but you might need a compass to help you get back on track. So, I can't wait to share more with you.
Excellent. Sounds like you're sending us in the right direction. I like that. Anyway, for your show, for your podcast, is there a good starting point for a brand new listener coming to you for the first time? Most recent episode? Where would you like to send somebody as a good starting point?
Oh, okay. Well, great way to find me is if you go to my website, dropinceo.com/products or my podcast. I have to check that out. You go there, and one of the most recent podcast episodes I did a solo was, stop calling it imposter syndrome. You're not broken. That was, I'm such a naysayer. I'm so tired of the narratives of people putting people in a box and saying you're broken, you've got imposter syndrome. And I just find so many people just accept that and take that assignment. When I think contrary to that, you just haven't had a support system to shine a light on your gifts. And so that's kind of the nature of some of these solo podcasts, is kind of getting inside your head and saying, no, you guys are amazing. Just let me talk to you for a little bit and set you on the right track. So you're not broken. It's not imposter syndrome.
I love it. I love it. We'll have links for you and your show and your book and everything for everybody to come check it out. Let's leave our listeners with one podcasting tip. You're speaking at a podcast conference full of podcasters at all different levels. They invite you up to the microphone to talk podcasting. What's one takeaway for that audience you'd like to leave with them before they walk out and from that event that day? What can we leave them with?
What I'd love to say to a podcaster or potential podcaster is trust. You have something worth saying. Create your own platform and speak, yell, sing high from that platform. It is your platform because you, like any other human on this earth, have a right to speak and to be heard. And podcasting is the perfect platform for that.
And that's how you end a podcast. Deb, thank you so much for being on the show as my guest co-host. You got to come back in the future. Let us know how this in-person thing worked out for you. I'd love for that kind of return conversation as well. And we'll have you over on Living the Next Chapter and continue the conversation over there. Deb, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Dave.
So I get asked quite often, usually at the end of a podcast, like right now, Dave, how can we help you? Like, how can we, as a listener, support the show? Can we come rake your leaves? Can we cut the grass? Shovel the snow? Watch your dog? Help you move? What can we do? Clean your dishes? Oh, that'd be interesting. Well, if you can't do that because, you're in Poland, maybe you can help us by supporting us with our Buy Me a Coffee. It's right there on our website. And, it just will help us to, stay fueled because, we drink a lot of coffee around here. And it helps the show. So if you want to help us, it's out of the goodness of your heart. I can tell you that listening to the podcast to this point, you've already helped us so much. But I do have people saying, Dave, I'd love to give back something small, even just to the show. Buy Me a Coffee link is on our website, ahadapodcast.ca. And you can support the show that way. It would mean a lot to have you on our team supporting what we do here. If you find value in the show, then that's great. Share the show, tell somebody about it. And when somebody says, Dave, I want to start a podcast, who should I check out? Oh, you should go check out the How to Podcast series because of all the great co-hosts and all the things that happen here, the meetups, everything. And I would appreciate that. And then fill our cup once in a while if you can. But again, thank you so much for being here and supporting the How to Podcast series. Take care. Talk soon.